Alright, hello, welcome back. We are the Blockbuster Bash Brothers. We're doing a podcast, and it's Friday, March 22nd, 2019.
Wow, you got that date exactly right.
It says it on my phone.
Wow, technology these days.
I know. So we're going to do a little South by Southwest wrap-up, because I did manage to go again this year.
How many times in a row, how many years in a row has it been now?
This is my 4th year in a row at the festival, 5th year going to Austin.
All right.
Yeah, so good stuff.
And how was your trip?
It was great. It's always great. It's always an awesome place to be, and I have an awesome time there.
Yeah, you have an awesome time there?
Yes, and there's really good food, so I enjoy that most of the time. See what's going on over there.
I see that.
Cats are fighting. And we're going to talk about some movies because I did see 26 while I was there.
That's a good amount. And how many days was it?
9 days.
Wow, you do the math.
I won't, because that's not a divisible.
It's almost 3 movies a day.
Yeah, but I also did other things too during those days. So, I mean,
Took in some sights?
Days. Yeah, well, no, I mean like other festival activities, not just movies.
Like a podcast, maybe?
I did see one podcast recording.
And you saw the Douglas movies?
That's what it was. That was the podcast.
That was the one with Harmar Superstar?
Yes.
Quick question about that, because I
Sure.
listened to it.
Uh-huh.
Was there a theme to the IMDb game?
Yes.
What was it?
It was the cast of the Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
he didn't. I think he said it towards the end. That's what he did. It was like they had already played a couple of games, and he was like, "Oh, I forgot to say it was this," and he said it really quick. So, yes, there was a theme.
Cool.
Good catch. And I was in the audience, and I knew the answer to every single thing after the first one.
Should have won.
So yeah, that was good. Yeah, I saw some episodics, some things along those lines.
But we won't talk about that because this is
we can.
movie.
I mean, one is based on a movie.
All right, let's talk about it.
What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show.
Awesome.
Yeah, I saw the pilot, which airs next week.
Oh, you gonna watch it?
I'll watch it again for sure. It's just like the movie, but it's like a TV show.
Oh, nice.
That's why they called it What We Do in the Shadows, which is the same title as the movie.
All right, so
cool. So we're gonna run down the list here, I guess. Yeah.
So
we're going in reverse order of things that I hated.
worst to best.
The things that I liked.
Right. So
that way you have to stick around and listen to the whole thing.
So
you want to hear what I actually liked.
So what was the worst movie you saw at the festival?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that this was the worst movie because it was one that I was actually looking forward to. It was Francis Ferguson. I didn't realize going into it that it was directed by Bob Bennington, I think his name is.
Bob Bennington?
Yeah.
Sounds like a fake name.
Oh, Bob Byington.
No,
he's the guy that did. It's a movie. I saw a movie that he did a couple of years ago called Infinity Baby.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is kind of
Yeah, that's how
There's
I felt
good people in it, but
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of whatever. He also did another one I saw called Seven Chinese Brothers, which had Jason Schwartzman, and I think I'll have to double check that. But it wasn't about any Chinese brothers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's a director who's just not for me, I think, is what it is. This was a story of a woman who is in a mundane relationship, and then she's a teacher, and she has sex with one of her students.
Classic.
Yeah, and it's just all very strange. It's like a comedy. It's very much just a comedy, but it's like slow, and that sounds like an exciting movie, but it's just the way it plays is not. It's narrated by Nick Offerman, which is interesting. He's kind of funny, when he's talking, he has a wide vocabulary. If you've ever heard him narrate anything before, so he makes it kind of interesting through narration, but otherwise it was just very slow for me.
All right, well then I'll put that last on my list of movies to see.
You got it. Yeah, I don't know where you'll find it. His movies pop up on random streaming services, I think, from time to time. So You'll find it somewhere probably. What's
All
next?
right. Well, Run This Town.
Did we skip one?
Oh, sorry, we did. Romantic comedy.
Oh yes, romantic comedy. It's just basically a documentary about romantic comedies.
Oh,
Um, and the woman who, or the couple, I couldn't tell if it was one woman or a couple of different women that narrate it. Um, but they just talk about how they are influenced in their lives by all these romantic comedies
well, kind of
and the
like
way they've kind of morphed and how they're very unrealistic and not inclusive of all types of people.
so kind of like Mindy from the Mindy Project.
Sure, I've never seen the Mindy
Oh,
Project, so I'm not. Um, but yeah, I mean it's fine. You might be able to get something out of it if you like romantic comedies.
I do.
They do have a section on like more progressive or modern romantic comedies, and they do talk about "I Love You, Man" in it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, sorry.
nobody cares.
Yeah, no,
um,
nobody even listens.
exactly. So you might find it interesting. But yeah, it was very much just kind of run of the mill kind of documentary. And they don't tell you who's narrating either. They don't pop up. You know
Oh
how a
wow.
lot of times when it's narrative, because there's no footage other than footage from romantic comedies.
Oh,
There's only just stock film footage the whole
oh.
like 90 minutes.
That's
So
kind of interesting to me though.
yeah, for sure. I did find it interesting too. This was one that they had on the screening library, so I watched this one at home. Well,
Hmm.
at home, at the place that I was staying. I didn't have to go to a theater to watch it. Um, I wrapped up early one night and decided I would just go home and eat and watch this. So I was able to watch it in my bed,
Nice.
which was kind of nice. But yeah, just kind of whatever. You might find something if you're into romantic comedies. You might find something in there for you.
Did they show Jerry Maguire?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
I can't tell from the picture exactly if there's something from Jerry Maguire, but I think so. Yeah, sounds about right. Alrighty,
All right.
next.
Run This Town.
Run This Town. In alphabetical order, it goes romantic comedy and then Run This Town in the
Wow.
booklet.
Wow, that's crazy.
Do you know who Rob Ford is?
Rob Ford. The name sounds familiar.
He is the former mayor of Toronto.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah.
It's probably not what I would have guessed.
Yeah, but as a hockey fan, I'm sure you heard all about him when he was in office because he was a crazy person.
Oh, was he like the guy that does drugs?
Yeah, he is
Okay,
the
yeah.
crack smoking mayor.
Yeah. Okay,
So this
I remember him now.
This I didn't know was about Rob Ford because the description had nothing about him in it.
Oh.
But it's kind of a retelling of that story, and it's from the intern's perspective.
Oh, cool.
Um, so it was interesting, and I was excited to once I realized that's what the story was. I was like, oh, this is an interesting story to me. It wasn't super well done, but the dialogue was like interesting. It was like really quick and witty. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, it's all about the whole Rob Ford smoking crack scandal.
Nice.
So I don't know how much of it was true and whether or not like there was this actual story going on with the interns, but all of the interns were the major characters in the movies. So yeah, maybe worth checking out if that sounds interesting to you.
That does.
Yeah.
They show any hockey?
No, no hockey, unfortunately.
Wow.
Sorry. Alrighty, what do we got next?
It started as a joke.
It started as a joke. Oh, that is the one about what is it? You know who Eugene Merman is?
No.
He's a comedian,
Any
and he
relation
does
to Eugene Mermaid?
no, no, I don't know who that is. He does the voice of Gene on Bob's
Okay,
Burgers.
okay, I
Yeah,
do know that. I do. Okay.
that's Eugene Merman. So apparently, like 10 years ago or so, 10, 12 years ago, he started a comedy festival that was a joke, like a joke comedy
Oh,
festival.
okay.
Um, so they put it together as a joke, and there's like crazy famous people in this movie. It's like all the other cast members from Bob's
Mm-hmm.
Burgers, John Glazer, Bobcat Goldthwait, Kumail Nanjiani, like all the, I think they're from Chicago. All these like Chicago comedy, famous comedy people
Mm-hmm.
were in this documentary about how it was silly, how it was kind of all just kind of thrown together, and they had all these funny lineups where it was like comedians with uh, brown hair. That's what's on tonight or something. They had all these like funny listings because it was like making fun of other comedy festivals
Uh-huh.
basically is what it was. Um, so it was good for the first 45 minutes, and then the second 45 minutes, because it was a very short movie, was just about Eugene Merman and his wife and their son because his wife is like terminally ill with cancer,
Oh,
and so she's like gonna die very soon. And so it went from this like
funny.
funny, here's about this festival, to this like documentary about Eugene Merman and his wife and how their life is gonna she's just gonna die very soon.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just got so dark, and I don't know, I just wasn't in the mind, I wasn't in the mindset for that to turn
Yeah,
into something
it's a
completely
big
different.
shift.
So I mean, it was good, and then it's basically there's two documentaries in there, and one I liked, and then one hit me by surprise, and I couldn't like it because it was so dark. So I don't know, kind
Yeah,
of I couldn't give it a high rating because it just caught me off guard.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes movies don't really work when the tone does
changes
such a
dramatically
dramatic
halfway through.
shift. Well,
Yep.
the day shall come.
Which is the next movie we're talking about. The Day Shall Come is another one that was kind of the same, where it took a weird turn because The Day Shall Come is about a it's a comedy. It's about a preacher who gets put on a list of potential terrorists, basically, and so he's an activist or whatever, but they mark him as dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And it's a comedy because he's kind of militant, you know what I mean? And there's like he has like a following, and he's really not a threat, basically. And so that's the kind of joke that they're playing off of is like
Mm-hmm.
Homeland Security is like a bunch of ding dongs, and they're following stupid people who don't need to be followed. But then like he becomes an actual terrorist, kind of, or he like goes down these wrong paths, and they're trying to make light of this whole situation, and it ends with a real like serious situation, like terrorism kind of situation, and it's just like I don't know. It just didn't play right to me, basically. So it does have Anna Kendrick in it. She's
Oh,
she's all right. She's all right in it. Um, there's a few other faces you'd probably recognize, comedians and whatnot. But I don't know. Other people seem to like it, so I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't for me. But I felt like it was kind of a weird script to choose for a comedy. I don't know.
all right. So next on the list, and this one I'm a little, disappointed to see that it's so low, is a Stuber.
Oh, Stuber. Stuber, it's not terrible. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible in the sense that it's not a bad movie. It's just very much like something I've seen before. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
not. It's kind of well the director who is Michael Dowse, I guess his name is. He talked about during the Q&A how he always wanted to make a movie like this, just an action comedy, because that's things because he's hugely influenced by like Lethal Weapon and things like that.
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour, sure, yeah, but I mean he was mostly talking about like 80s
Okay,
buddy
yeah.
cop comedies,
Yeah.
basically 48 hours, things like
Yeah.
that. So he's intentionally making something that is an homage to that. So it's a little modernized, but very much this movie you'll go, oh, I've seen all of this. You know what I mean? So you'll have fun watching it, and it'll be funny. And Kumail Nanjiani's very funny in it, but it's not anything like it's not groundbreaking or anything. You know what I mean? It's
So it
just,
sounds like I'm gonna enjoy it.
oh yeah, you'll enjoy it. Yeah, for sure. And it was a fun one to watch with 1,000 people in a theater. You know what I mean? It was a fun one to watch like that. So
Really, 1,000 people in there?
the Paramount seats, I have the number 1,100 people,
Damn.
and I was in the front row in the center.
Oh, imagine if you all farted at the same time.
It'll be a super smelly room. I mean, it's a big room, but
I was just
you're
thinking
packed in
how
there.
loud it would get. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to, if everybody timed it right, during like an explosion or something like that, you probably wouldn't notice too bad. But um, anything else that you want to know about Stuber before we move on?
so it's with Camille Nanjiani and Dave Batista.
Dave Batista, yeah, you'll recognize
Yeah.
him. He's a wrestler.
Yeah. Some people might know him as Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, for sure. You'll also, who else is in it? Do you know who Natalie Morales is?
I know the name.
She played Wendy on Parks and Rec,
Uh,
Tom's girlfriend for a couple of seasons.
oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. She's a major part in it too, and
Cool.
she's been popping up in a lot of stuff recently too.
Good for her.
She's good.
All right, let's move on to Mr. Jimmy.
Oh, Mr. Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy is actually a very interesting movie.
Is it about Jimmy Carter?
Wrong Jimmy. It's about, well, kind of about Jimmy Page. It's about a guy who has basically dedicated his whole life to imitating Jimmy Page to the point where he knows every song note for note, not just the studio recordings, but every single live version of every song.
Wow.
And he recreates the stage productions, he recreates the costumes, like down to the stitch. It's crazy the amount of dedication that he has put into it. And so basically it's a documentary about him moving to the US and trying to put together a band that's kind of on the same wavelength as him, which is impossible because he is like crazy meticulous about everything. So
where is he from?
He's from Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's Japanese. But yeah, it's super interesting. I wouldn't say it's like it was one of the best documentaries I've seen. I would say the production was good, not great, but the subject matter was definitely worthy of getting a doc.
Cool.
So I don't know where you'll be able to see that, if you'll be able to see it, but it did. A lot of people were high on it after the festival, so.
They probably got a little high before it too.
Oh yeah, dude.
I got a question.
Sure.
Who let the dogs out?
Ah, it's a good question. They don't really answer it too much in the film,
Oh wow.
which is funny because I was kind of expecting it to get answered. So, Who Let the Dogs Out is a documentary about the song Who Let the Dogs Out. It's
by
mostly
the hit group the Baha Men.
Yes, the Baha Men are in it very little, just so you know. But it's intentional that's why, because it's mostly about the legal battles around the song.
Okay.
Because it's there's about a dozen different people who claim that that's their song.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and the Baha Men made lots of money, and it was a very famous song for a long time, and
Still
a lot
is.
of yeah, most kids that you would say, do you know the song Who Let the Dogs Out? They would say yes. So it's basically just follows kind of the chain as it just goes down this rabbit hole, because it's based on this stage performance that this guy does about the song, because he like was the original person who was like editing the Wikipedia page for it. He was just like, I don't know, like a college senior with some time on his hands or something like that, and he went down this rabbit hole. So now he does a comedy stage performance of like about the song Who Let the Dogs Out, and how this guy claims that he wrote it, and this guy claims that he wrote it, and this guy claims that he wrote it, down and down and down the chain. So it's just basically follows the chain in like kind of a funny way, and how lots of people are claim, and then they get down to where kind of the origin of the song came from, but it's it goes all over the map too. It's not just like, oh, somebody from Jamaica or something. It's like, where did it actually originate, and who actually owns the rights to the term and the song. So
do we have to pay just to mention Who Let the Dogs Out?
Oh yes, for sure.
Damn.
So expect this whole podcast to be completely unlistenable on YouTube.
Well, we'll just edit that part. We'll bleep that part out.
We'll bleep it out. I'll bleep it out. You don't edit anything.
You're right, I don't. But
All
Not
right.
that not that I couldn't.
Oh yeah, you could do it. What's next?
I am Richard Pryor.
Oh, which is a
Who are you?
documentary about Richard Pryor. I am not Richard Pryor. I am Richard Pryor is a documentary about Richard Pryor. It's kind of depressing
Oh,
because he doesn't
alive.
come from like a real happy background. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So it's very much kind of depressing. I mean, they cut it with some of his stand up and stuff. It's funny in that regard, but it's really kind of like a tragic life that he led. So but it's interesting, and you'll learn a lot if you do watch it. And there's lots of good interviews with people who are close to him and stuff. So uh, definitely worth checking out. I think it's available now, like on iTunes and stuff, so you can just go watch it.
For free or you have to buy
No,
it?
I'm sure you have to buy it, but
Okay.
not for free. What's free in this world? You know what I mean?
Um, Samples?
That's a good point. Samples are often free.
All right. Can you tell me about Sister Amy?
Sister Amy it played at Sundance, and I was kind of excited for it. It was actually the only movie I watched on the last Saturday of the festival. Usually by the last day of the festival, I'm pretty burnt out,
A little
and I'm
pooped.
looking for something else to do. And most of the stuff that's playing on Saturday is just like buzz screening or award winners, so there's no filmmakers or anything still around. And it's all just kind of up in the air. Like you don't really know exactly what you're going to see if you do decide to go see something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this one was announced the day before what it was going to be, and it was one that I thought about seeing but never could quite squeeze into my schedule. And it was playing at a satellite venue, so one that was closer to me than downtown. So I managed to jump over there real quick. It's about a woman who I guess it's kind of based on a true story. A woman who like fakes her own death because she's an evangelist trying to um, escape kind of to Mexico.
Mm.
Um, and so it's a comedy of sorts. It's like a Western comedy kind of is what it is. But it's good. It's fine.
Okay.
I was just expecting a little bit more because there was a lot of buzz about it at Sundance, and they picked it up for the festival here. Just like, hey, let's play it and see if audience. I thought it was just okay.
Okay. Okay. So it wasn't extraordinary.
Mm,
Not like this next
next
film.
one, Extraordinary is a Scottish film. Let me double check that because I don't
You
want to
don't
be
want
getting
to
out the
upset anyone.
yeah false information there. It is, of course, it doesn't really say. Irish. Sorry, Irish film. There's another one that was Scottish. It's kind of like a little bit of a modern day Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Um, Maeve Higgins is the lead. She plays a woman who um, can speak with ghosts or help ghosts reach the afterlife, basically.
Okay.
Um, so she goes around with this guy played by Barry Ward. There's a lot of people in this movie that I didn't recognize, but there is one very recognizable face in this movie,
Really?
and I'll get to it in a sec. So they're going around getting ghost ectoplasm, basically, is what
Okay.
it is, so that they could save his daughter, who is being um, possessed for a sacrifice by a very recognizable face, Mr. Will Forte.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he plays like a Satanist or something along those lines, but he's also a musician who had like a one-hit wonder, and now he's living in Ireland because he bought a castle,
Okay.
and he's like a devil. He's like worshiping the devil and sacrificing to the devil,
Nice.
or to a demon or something like that. And so it's a comedy for sure. Um, and so they're like going around trying to get enough ectoplasm to save his daughter. Is basically what
Well, I
it
love
is.
any film with ectoplasm in it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it's like a Irish. It's like a modern Irish Ghostbusters.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not spectacular, but it's funny, and Will Forte is really funny. In fact, the day that I watched this, I believe that Will Forte was in 3 of the 4 movies that I watched. So he's got some more coming up
Yeah,
here.
I know he's got one more. I'm interested what the other one is.
Hmm.
But let's go to the boy band con, the Lou Pearlman story.
Oh yeah, you might be interested in this one because Lance Bass was at the screening that I went
Oh,
to.
hell yeah, I'm
Yeah.
interested.
So I think this might be out now or out soon on YouTube because it is
Okay,
a YouTube original.
nice.
It is about the guy who basically founded the two groups, the Backstreet Boys and
In sync?
NSYNC, and how he was instrumental in getting them very famous,
Mm-hmm.
but then also very much ripped them off in a major way, like to the point where neither of them really made any money off of their first album or two,
Oh,
like
wow.
almost none. Um,
Damn.
and he was a real big shyster. So
So he's
yeah,
probably
I
a
don't want to go.
billionaire.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go deep into it, but it goes
Do they
it's
kill him at the end?
yeah, no, he's dead. No, I'm
Oh.
just kidding. No, I don't know. I don't. he might be dead, but I think he's dead. I can't remember. Anyways, it's really interesting, and if you lived through that era or have any interest in the music of that era,
Well,
then
I check
you'll
check both those boxes off for me.
for sure. There's some very funny Aaron Carter interviews in it. Not intentionally funny,
Oh, wow.
but yeah, he's kind of the goat of this movie. So
Nice.
yeah, it's real interesting.
That's that sounds great.
Yeah, you're gonna like it. I'm pretty sure.
All right. Um, can you tell me about Salvage?
I can tell you about Salvage. Salvage, I actually was surprised. It's a very short movie. It might not even count as a movie because it's so short. It's like 65 minutes or something like that.
Holy moly! I have it here as 57 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it might even be, yeah, that's right. It's less than an hour. So it's about the town of Yellowknife, which is in the Yukon Territory, I believe,
Okay.
in Canada. This isn't the case anymore, but when they started filming the documentary, it was one of the last places, I assume in Northern America or anywhere, where the dump is a place where you can go and um, like
Salvage.
basically pick through anything anybody drops off.
Mm-hmm.
So like the same place where you drop off is like the same place where people will go and pick things up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in such a remote area, it makes sense that they would be doing that. And the way they show it, it's kind of a very sustainable practice.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's dangerous and not super sanitary because especially up in Canada, it's a lot of animal carcasses and things like that because there's a lot of hunters and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's cool. It was like cool watching all these people like going to the dump and finding all of these things that were like in pristine condition. Like, and there's
Yeah.
one guy who was just like everything he ate was from the dump.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could go to the dump and find stuff to eat for months. Basically is what it was
Yeah.
because people were just when people would move, they would just not be able to take everything with them. They bring brand new stuff or lightly used stuff to the dump, and it's just so. And then as basically the documentary was how that was changing over time because it was a liability. The city had to put sanctions on it. They had to redo the way the dump was, so it became sort of like how everywhere else is. Like they have ways to salvage, but it's a more red tape kind of system.
Wow.
So, but it was interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of countries that have that kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
The one film that I saw at a film fest
Oh.
while you were at a film fest was about a family who was found at one of those kind of places
Hmm.
called Clean Hands.
Oh,
Yes.
you told me about that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure. Awesome.
Just want to plug my one film festival film in.
Oh, good. Glad you got the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Alrighty, what do we got next?
Um, The Highwaymen, which I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I liked The Highwayman. I have a feeling it's going to be kind of like mildly reviewed. Because there's really not like it's not like anything spectacular or
But it's got two
new.
spectacular
Yeah, there's
actors.
some real good people in there.
Who
It's
are
got
who are the others?
Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson, and Kathy Bates.
Oh, Kathy Bates.
Yeah, and all
Nice.
three of them were there at the screening that I went to, so that was nice too.
Cool.
Um, yeah, it's about the two guys who basically tracked down and caught
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde. Yes. Um, so yeah, it's kind of like a western, and it's kind of like a mystery. It's all kinds of old school genres.
I like
Um,
it.
but yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a little long. It's like 2:15, something like that. So I don't know. They probably could have cut it down a little bit, but yeah, I like all of those people. So
Hmm.
when they're all in a movie that's kind of a little bit of a western, I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
So it is out on Netflix, I think, in like a couple of days.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it in a
Yeah,
couple days for sure.
I'll probably watch it again in a couple of days,
Nice,
just so
dude.
that I can get a real feeling. Because I mean, when you were watching it, that was another one at the Paramount with 1,000 people. So when you watch movies there, it really things kind of are elevated just
Hmm.
because there's so many people and because it's a world premiere and
Yeah.
everybody's so excited about it. You kind of have to take a beat and really think about whether or not it was as good as everyone around you made you feel it
Hmm.
was. So yeah, I liked it a lot. I think it's gonna get kind of mediocre reviews, but I think there's a lot in it for people who are interested in that kind of film.
I can't wait to check it out.
Yep.
So what's the villains about?
Villains was one that got a buzz screening, and I just happened to catch on my second to last day because I wasn't planning on watching it, but then some other people that I was talking to, because you talk to a lot of people while you're in line for other movies and just kind of hanging out.
Made some new friends.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not you want to, people want to talk to you about what you've been seeing.
Hmm.
Sometimes you're open to it. Sometimes you're like, I've been having this exact same conversation with 100 other people.
Hmm.
like, um, but somebody did recommend it to me. He was a writer for a film blog in somewhere in Florida. He was like, you really got to see Villains. So when I got the buzz screening, I made an effort. There's a Skarsgård in it, Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, you gotta love the
I don't know if
Skarsgårds.
he's one of the Skarsgård, but his last name is Skarsgård.
I'm sure he is. There's so many of them. How could he not be?
Yeah, and Kira Sedgwick is in it.
Oh, classic.
Yeah. So it's about two. I don't know. I
Villains?
guess they're
Bad
early
guys.
20s, late teens. Maybe they're kind of bad guys. They're on the lam, robbing stores and stuff. And their car breaks down, and they have to try to get another car from a house, basically, that's like deep in the woods. And the family inside the house are a bit crazy,
Oh.
and they discover some um, unsavory things in the house,
Oh.
and then they are kind of kidnapped, and then it's about them kind of escaping, basically. So it's kind of like a thriller. I guess there's a little bit of horror elements to it, but it's more thriller than horror. Yeah, but it's funny too. There's definitely comedy in it. Um, but yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun. It's one to watch with a group, I'd say. Um, you can have a good a friends night
Cool.
and watch Villains.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to come over sometime and watch Villains?
Sure, but I think we got some other ones too, and coming up that we probably want to do as friend screening first.
Okay.
But
We'll
Villains,
get
put
to
it on the list.
those.
Yeah, I don't know how, because I don't know if it has distribution. I don't know where you'll find it, if you will find it eventually. But um, yeah, it's that one's still up in the air.
All right. Sword of Trust.
Sword of Trust is another one that I liked. You'll recognize some of the faces in it, I'm sure.
Not the names though.
Yeah, probably some of the names. Well, Mark Maron is in it.
Oh yeah, I recognize his name and face.
Yeah. Michaela Watkins, Jillian Bell from
Oh yeah.
Workaholics.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a woman whose grandfather dies and leaves her a sword. And the sword is, according to his crazy dementia mind and racist dementia mind, He claims that the sword is proof that the South won the Civil War,
Oh.
and they try to take it to a pawn shop and get them um, to take it basically for lots of money, and that's Mark Maron, and he is like, "You're full of shit." So but then they find that there's a market for this kind of crazy shit, and so it's them trying to sell it for lots of money together to some people who are cuckoo.
All right.
Uh, Hijinks ensue, comedy, laughs.
Okay, comedy, and laughs.
Yeah, doubling
Interesting.
up.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Come as you are.
Come as you are is another one that's pretty funny and good. It's one that a comedy concept that I hadn't seen before. It's about a few gentlemen with disabilities. It's actually based on a Belgian film called Hasta la Vista.
Hmm.
Um, so these gentlemen are some younger gentlemen who are disabled, a couple in a wheelchair, one who is almost blind, very uh, sight impaired,
Mm-hmm.
and they hire a driver who is I can't remember her name. What's her name? The girl from Precious. Gabori Sidibe, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Um, and they all live with their parents because even though they're a little bit older, because they're disabled and they need caretakers basically. So they run away from home, hire a driver to take them to Canada, where there is a place where um, uh, disabled people can lose their virginity. Is
Oh.
basically what it is.
Okay.
Hijinks ensue, comedy, laughs.
Oh, so it's
Um,
come as you are, cum.
no, it's. I mean, you can't spell it that way.
Oh, okay.
On a marquee. So unfortunately, you can't do that. So, but yeah, it's really funny. It's Ravi Patel is one of the leads. You'll recognize him from some stuff. Um, and it's just a story that I haven't seen before. You know what I mean? A lot of times when they do films about people with disabilities, they kind of don't do a great job of research, and it's really kind of cliched and poor representations. I feel like they did a good job in this one with representations. I'm not
All right.
the best to judge that, but
How does it compare to the fundamentals of caring?
Fundamentals of Caring is also very good. Well, Fundamentals of Caring is more comedy drama. I guess this is kind of the same, but I'd say it's Fundamentals of Caring is a lot darker. This brings a lot more light to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the art of self-defense.
The Art of Self Defense is another one that I think might be a Netflix movie, or somebody bought it. So this is one that you will be able to see. Maybe it's not Netflix. I don't think it is. So it's a dark comedy.
Okay.
It stars Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots and Alessandro Nivola.
Okay.
Um,
Who is that last person?
I can't remember what else. He was in something else big. He's been around for a while. He's been in a lot of stuff, but like you'd recognize his face, but he's like a character actor that.
Oh yeah, he's in like American Hustle and Face Off.
Yeah, for sure. Like he's been around a while. He's a recognizable face, but he's like a character actor, so it's not necessarily somebody you would.
Oh yeah. I remember him now.
Yeah, you would. He's not a huge like household name or anything, but he's very good in this. So Jesse Eisenberg plays a timid young man, as he often does,
Classic Jesse.
who is uh, brutally assaulted on the street.
All right.
And then so he wants to find a way to defend himself. So there's some funny stuff about him trying to buy a gun, some other things, but he ultimately ends up joining a dojo where Alessandro Nivola is the sensei,
Okay.
and Imogen Poots is like sort of one of the higher up. Um, I don't know. I guess it's just karate, so it's karate master. I guess
Okay.
is what you would call it. So it's really kind of silly serious to start, and then it kind of gets real dark about halfway through. But it's very funny. It's very deadpan funny. Jesse Eisenberg is really good in it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's super funny. It's so straight faced too, like the all of the comedy. But that was a good one to watch with a group again. I really liked it.
All right.
All right, what else we got?
Boys in the Wood.
Boys in the Wood was another funny one.
Is it
This is
anything to do with
this is
Boys in the Hood?
no, but it's a funny play on words.
Okay.
This is the Scottish one. So it's about four boys, three of which are sort of like screw ups. You know what I mean? High school screw ups, and this is kind of their last ditch effort before they get like kind of a permanent spot in juvenile hall.
Okay.
And then one kid who was voluntarily there, kind of the nerd, and so they're on a woodland retreat kind of thing where it's they get dropped off in an area. Here's a map. Follow the trail, or follow this off into the spot where we'll have a camp set up, and then we'll do a thing. So it's basically their kind of hijinks as they're going from one spot to another.
Mhm.
But then it turns out that they're being hunted by. uh, I don't really know how to describe it without giving it away, but it's kind of like a, let's say, I don't know. I don't even want to say it because I don't want to give it away. But it's they're being hunted by some people with guns.
Okay.
Older people, I'll say that. Um, and so it's very much a comedy. It's kind of a silly comedy. It's a little dark at times, but yeah, it's the accents are kind of thick, so it kind of takes a little bit to get up to speed there. But it's very funny.
All right. Are we gonna be able to see that?
It's a tougher one to say just because it's Scottish. It's very much like a. It's got some horror elements to it, and it's like a very much a genre film. So it's tougher to say. There's not really a lot of big names or faces in it, but it did get a buzz screening. It was really good, and a lot of people were very high on it. I don't know if it'll get distribution, but I imagine at some point you'll be able to find it somewhere.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Good.
What about Little Monsters?
Little Monsters played at Sundance as well. It stars one of two movies that I saw, I believe, starring.
Is that the sequel to Small Soldiers?
No, but that was a long walk off of a short cliff. One of two movies that I saw starring Lupita Nyong'o.
Okay.
Um,
I think I know what the other one is, but I'll hush
yeah,
until we get
we'll
there.
wait till we get there. It also has Josh Gad in it. This is a English film, I believe. Um, it's a horror comedy,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently I saw a lot of.
I guess so.
um, So Lupita Nyong'o plays a kindergarten teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and then Alexander England, who I don't know if I've seen in anything else, plays kind of a shitty uncle to one of the students, and they go on a field trip, and there's a zombie outbreak at
Mm-hmm.
a nearby military facility,
Okay.
which is a common trope,
Yeah.
and so it's basically about them trying to survive the zombie outbreak before while help is coming,
Mm-hmm.
and with a giant class of kindergartners.
Nice. You
So it's
might
funny, it's fun, I enjoyed it. It's good.
you might recognize Alexander England from Alien Covenant.
Never saw it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I know you did though.
that's all I can. So is Little Monsters like is that comparable to Cooties?
Um, in comedy style, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not so much uh child abuse, I
Okay.
guess. I mean, in
That's
Cooties,
nice.
there's a lot of montages of people messing children up.
Yeah.
But these are such young children. I feel like they would have kind of gone off the rails if they had done that situation. Josh Gad's also in it. He's pretty funny. He's being very Josh Gaddy.
All right.
Yeah, you get it.
Yes. God, yes.
Nice. Is that the next one?
Yes.
Yes, God,
God, yes.
Yes stars Natalia Dyer, who you would recognize from Stranger Things. She's the
Ah.
older sister.
Ah.
Um, so it takes place in the early, what are we calling it? 2000s?
I don't know.
Around like 2000 and 2001.
I'd say we call that the early 2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. Well, I mean, you call them the 2010s, the 2020s, 2030s, I
Oh
guess.
yeah.
I don't know.
I guess just the 2000s.
The aughts. The odds. I don't know what they what that term is for something before teens. The tweens.
The
No, it's not. That's
the
not late enough.
I would just call them. I don't know.
Here, let me just read the description that they have here. After an innocent AOL chat turns racy, a Catholic teenager in the early 2000s discovers masturbation and struggles to suppress her urges in the face of eternal damnation.
Ah.
It was very good. I really liked this movie. Um, it's basically Natalia Dyer plays that character, and she's in dealing with this whole idea of, and she's a Catholic student, and so she goes off on this like retreat, and it's basically her discovering that everything that they're teaching is bullshit, and that everything they're trying to get all of the children or the kids or high school age students to abide by is completely unnecessary, and so they play around with that a lot, and it has a good ending too. I like it. It's very funny and it's very good.
All right. And this next one, I'm excited to hear about it and excited to see it. Is Good Boys.
Good Boys.
And I think when you saw it, I had just watched the trailer that day, and then you told me
that I was
that you
saying
saw
it.
it,
Yeah.
and I was like, tight.
Oh man. Yeah, they intentionally do that a lot, where they release the trailer like the day of the like premiere screening,
Mm-hmm.
basically. It happened with another one that's coming up on the list as well. So Good Boys is directed by Lee Eisenberg and Gene Stupnitsky. They did some other stuff that I've seen. I think that is not that I didn't really love. They did uh, what's the one with Cameron Diaz where she's Bad Teacher, I think.
Okay.
They did some other things. I recognize Gene Stupnitsky. He plays a couple of small roles and things. He was on The Office for a couple of episodes.
Okay.
But yeah, this I feel like is I think I found it to be very funny. I thought it was super funny. It's produced by uh, Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, who were both there for the screening too. I thought the kids were super funny. I thought they billed it as middle school super bad, which I thought was a pretty accurate way of putting it. Although I mean, the stories aren't super parallel, but it's I thought it was very funny. It was a great one to watch with another great one to watch with a big crowd. It's not like gonna be. I don't think everybody's gonna go, oh, this is the next super bad, but people are gonna really enjoy watching it. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Tremblay, super funny. Um, he's a good little actor.
Yeah.
And the other ones too. The God, I can't remember. Keith L. Williams is his name. The one of the three kids. He was on Last Man on Earth. He was the little kid that they found in the woods, basically.
Yeah.
It was funny to watch him in like an actual speaking role because he doesn't talk on the show. Yeah. So yeah, and the other kid,
I'm still mad that show is canceled.
I know, me too. And I think that was another one that Will Forte's in that one too. So I watched that one on that day. But yeah, it's raunchy comedy, super funny, and I think it's gonna get a lot of people upset, which is a good
I like
thing.
that.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I love it when
a lot of
people are
moms are gonna be
upset.
really angry. part of the
Thinking,
trailer was that the kids weren't old enough to see the
yeah,
movie, or that they can't even watch their own trailer, which
yeah.
was super funny. But they were there at the screening, and that was the first time that they had seen the movie, so
Oh,
that was fun to watch.
nice.
Yeah, so Good Boys, check it out when it comes out. It's gross, funny, and you should like it, even though everybody's gonna tell you it's bad.
Well, I'm sure I will. All right. Greener grass.
Greener Grass is crazy. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's so funny, but it's like a dark, twisted comedy, and it got one of our favorites, Mr. Beck Bennett, in it.
Oh, love them.
And so it's kind of a suburbia parody where they're making fun of suburban parents and
Like Suburbia the movie?
no, like
Oh,
suburbia, the
okay.
idea,
Okay.
the suburbs. Um, I'll say this. It starts out with a scene. The two directors are actually the two leads, um, and they're sitting and watching one of their son's soccer game. He's like 7 or 8, basically. He's a youngster, and he's not really into the game. He's doesn't want to be out there, and he's rubbing his face in the grass and doing weird stuff. And they keep showing his face in slow motion, weird stuff. And then it cuts back to them talking, and one of them is complimenting the other one's newborn baby that she's holding, and the other one goes, "Oh, thank you so much," and then she says, "Do you want her?" And the other one says, "No, you don't have to do that." And then she says, "No, that's nice. I'm glad that you like her. You can have her." And she gives the baby to her, and that's how the movie starts.
Okay.
One mom giving her baby to the other mom.
All right.
And it just kind of goes weird. And one funny thing, Beck Bennett is very obsessed with pool water in the movie. I don't want to go any more detail than
Okay.
that, but it's
I mean,
it's
that's all I
very
need to,
it's
to go
very
see a
funny.
movie.
Yeah, he's one of the husbands. Oh, and all the adults have braces. They all have braces.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird and so funny. Like so weird funny.
All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great. I can't wait to watch it with you.
Okay.
It's gonna be so much fun. Alrighty, what do we got? We're getting
All right.
close here.
Yeah,
We
this
got
is the big
the
three
big
here, the
three here,
top
right?
three.
Yeah.
Uh, the Peanut Butter Falcon.
The Peanut Butter Falcon, which is good for many reasons. It's funny. It's another one that deals with disability in a great way. It's about a young man who is he's kind of like a warden of the state. I don't really know what the term is, but he's staying at an old folks home, even though he's kind of a young man, because he kind of has nowhere to go. He has Down syndrome, and he wants to escape because he wants to go and become a professional wrestler.
Nice.
He has some VHS tapes of his his favorite wrestlers, and that they own a camp to teach wrestling. So he wants to escape and go there. And so his bunkmate, who is played by Bruce Dern, helps him escape. And he runs away, and he escapes in his underwear with nothing on, with nothing else. Um, and so he goes, and he's just running around naked, basically. And he gets on a boat, like a little dinghy. He
Uh-huh.
hides in a boat, which happens to be Shia LaBeouf's boat.
Okay.
And Shia LaBeouf is running away from some unsavory characters because he is like fishing without a license or something like that, or he stole some equipment or some other thing, and a character played by John Hawkes is trying to kind of hunt him down. So they go on this adventure on this boat together to try to get to the wrestling camp, and it's good. It's a really good movie.
All right.
A lot of heart, and it's also very funny.
And one of the directors?
Is from Santa Rosa.
Wow.
So I
What are
chatted
the
with him
odds?
chatted with him a little bit afterwards. I had no idea. I went to the screening, and they came out beforehand to say thanks for coming, and we hope you enjoy it. And one of them said, "Oh, I want to give a shout out to my friend who was my neighborhood, or who grew up. He's here, and we shared the same back fence in Santa Rosa, California, and enjoyed the movie. And then it went off, and I was like, what? But
Were you
so
that friend that you shared the back
no, it
fence?
wasn't
Oh.
me. So there was another guy in the room from Santa Rosa, California.
Whoa! Wow.
So yeah, afterwards we chatted a little bit, and I told him I loved the movie, and he said thanks, and I told him here, let me know if you're doing anything my way, and we can collaborate. Doubt it'll ever happen,
No,
but
you never know.
you never know. But yeah, so Peanut Butter Falcon, it got a buzz screening. It did really well. It sold out both of the screenings that I went to, or that were there the first couple of days of the festival, and I think it'll probably end up somewhere. So look out
Nice.
for it.
I will look out.
And it's got a hell of a cast. It also has Dakota Johnson.
Oh, love her.
Yeah, she's 50 Shades of Grey famous. And there's like
Bad Times at the El Royale.
oh yeah, for sure. Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh, love him.
And John Bernthal is in a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
flashbacks with no actual dialogue.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now this one, just saw the trailer for this today.
Mm-hmm.
Booksmart looks great.
Yeah, it is great. It was my second favorite of the festival, and I believe it's got a real high score on Rotten Tomatoes too, and will continue to have that high score. Um, it is well. That's funny because the day before I was gonna go see it, it was one that I was like, oh, I should probably go check that out. It sounds funny. But it's really there's not a lot of big names in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed by Olivia Wilde, which is a big name,
Yeah.
and her husband Jason Sudeikis is in it. And there's a very small role from Will Forte again.
Along with Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah, they play the parents of one of the girls. Um, Basically, it's like a high school comedy, but the two leads are kind of the I don't know. I guess you could say nerdy type, but they're very academically driven,
Mm-hmm.
and they get into good schools, and but then they find out that their fellow students, whom have all been kind of slackers in their eyes or partiers or whatever, they all also got into great schools, so they feel like they've wasted
Mm-hmm.
their whole high school career because they tried so hard. And so the movie is basically about their attempt to make their last night before graduation a really good night, basically, is what it is.
All right.
And it's very funny. I'm very surprised that Olivia Wilde has never directed before. She did an amazing job. Jason Sudeikis also very funny in it. It's funny because the trailer came out the day after the first screening, which was the day that I was scheduled to see it because it played most of the time when there's a headliner like this, like a big name headliner, it only plays the one show because it already has distribution and they don't want to show more than one. But luckily enough, there was two screenings of it, so I penciled in for the next day, and I'm really glad I got to see it. But the trailer came out that day that I was going to go see it,
Mm-hmm.
and I started watching the trailer, and like the first scene in the trailer is like one pulling up to pick up the other, and one's like dancing down the
Yeah.
stairs, and then she's dancing in front of the car.
Yeah.
I stopped watching the trailer. I was like, okay, I don't want to watch. I just want to go see it. Like I don't want to watch the trailer because I'm already in. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Definitely go see it.
I will definitely go see that.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to our last film, which
Mhm.
I also saw today.
Oh, you got it in. I wasn't.
got it
I was.
in.
I was wondering if you checked it out or not. If you had managed to see it. So, well, let's start with you then. Why start with me?
I don't know.
Because I've been talking for so long.
Would you want to tell us what movie it was?
Oh, it's Us.
It is Us.
The
Yes.
follow-up, the Get Out follow-up from Jordan Peele. And I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, I loved it.
Uh-huh.
Like I wasn't. So I think everyone loved Get Out more than I did.
Yeah, I'd say I'm about the same boat.
I liked it.
After the second viewing, I think it went up a little bit for me, but
I think I should see it again, maybe.
yeah.
But this
yeah.
one, like just as an overall film, like I just thought it was like really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It as far as like a horror movie, like I mean, it didn't like scare me.
Yeah.
Like, which,
I mean, but to be fair, I feel like if you haven't, because I'm sure you watched the trailer first, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Like I knew a lot of the horror elements that were coming,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I wasn't scared in that regard. I'd say it's definitely scarier than Get Out.
Yeah.
Like there's more, it's gorier for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely
there's
gorier.
parts of Get Out that
I
are gorier, but
guess
it's more gorier throughout.
I guess if you like are scared of gore, like it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people are gonna be scared of it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I just watched. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing again, but I watched the first half when we screened it at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And it was watching it with other people. I could tell they were getting pretty freaked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like it just like, but the overall like plot line, I didn't
It
see that
wasn't.
coming.
Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't predictable, which I love. I love it when, especially in horror films, like it's always like, okay, well I know what's coming. It might be scary still, but okay, I saw that coming or that's coming. This
like
this
that
threw me
was
for a loop.
like it's a pretty original idea. Like
Yeah,
I couldn't think of any movie that's.
yeah, similar for sure. Yeah.
But
How about that Lupita Nyong'o performance?
she's great.
Dude, she's great, man. I mean, for all of them to be able to kind of play two
Yeah,
characters
that's
is insane, but her performance was like
yeah.
next level stuff, dude.
And I also really enjoyed um, Tim Heidecker and
Yeah,
Elizabeth Moss.
I knew you were gonna say
I thought
that.
they were
Yeah,
a
for sure.
great like couple.
Yeah, for sure. Those the scenes with them in it, like the first couple scenes with them in it are funny, and then like they are like the initial gore scene basically is what it is.
Uh-huh.
Is like when the gore gets introduced, it's with through them
Yeah.
basically, um, and the suspense element, I guess. But yeah, yeah, they were great. So yeah, us,
Us, like,
go get it.
go get it.
Yeah, and it's got great reviews too. I'm glad because when I watched it in the theater, it's another one of those ones that I saw in the big theater, and I was a little worried because 9 times out of 10, it's elevated because of the seeing it with 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was a little worried because I loved it. I was completely taken aback. I thought it was a phenomenal movie, but then afterwards I was just like, really, was it as good as I thought, or was it just the experience of watching it with the cast and crew,
Mm-hmm.
watching it with all those people,
Yeah.
and having the Q&A afterwards? Was that what elevated for me? But then rewatching it, at least the first half, I was like, oh no, I was right. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what Jordan Peele does next.
Well, they're redoing the Twilight Zone. He's
Oh
the
yeah, that's
director of
right.
the Twilight Zone. Yeah, so you don't have to wait long. I think that's
But I
coming
meant
out
like
pretty soon.
movie
Oh
wise.
yeah, for sure. And I was just reading something, I think today, that said this was the first, because after Get Out, I don't know if he signed a deal or anything, but he said that this Us was the first of 4 movies that he came up with after Get Out. So he already
Oh,
has 4. I don't know if they're all fully realized yet, but he has 4 movies kind of set up, ready to go.
nice.
Maybe it's like a deal with Blumhouse or something like that. But so there's more. There's definitely more coming that he
Nice.
has. So
And there were enough like funny references to uh like the 80s,
oh yeah,
like
for sure. Yeah,
and
there's some Easter eggs in there and stuff. Just like with Get Out had the same thing. So he's hands across
and
America.
still yeah,
Yeah,
still
for sure.
some comedy
Yeah,
elements to it.
absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. The crowd that I watched it with, the jokes really played well.
I'm just bummed that I wasn't able to be like an extra in the movie since it was here in Santa
Oh
Cruz.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I remember reading about the casting call.
Yeah. I
Um,
remember you telling me about it.
yeah. Too bad.
I'm such an idiot.
They definitely would have picked you, dude. It's
Ah,
too bad. All right, well that's all of them. We did 26 movies.
wow, that was A lot.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, what are you gonna watch next?
I have no idea. Dumbo's next week. I'll maybe watch that.
Oh, that's probably what I'm gonna watch next week for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But we probably won't do a podcast about it. You never know.
You never know.
Alrighty. I guess that's it. We will wrap that up. And thanks for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right.
This has been the Blockbuster Bash Brothers on Friday, March 22nd, 2019, and we'll see you guys next time.
Adios.